Why? Do you ever think of why is it that Mitzrayim, the country we now know today as Mitzrayim, are the main go-betweens between us and these Amaleks in Gaza? See, it says a senior Egyptian source said this evening that as part of Egypt's desire, I guess Sisi, not the people of Egypt, to end the current tensions in Gaza Strip, Egypt has increased contacts with all the parties in order to contain the current escalation. In light of those contacts, Egypt looks forward to a comprehensive and mutual ceasefire at 11:30 p.m., which is like in 20 minutes. That's in Israel time. Egypt is exerting its efforts to work for the release of the prisoner Khalil al-Alda and his transfer to treatment, and also for the release of the prisoner Bassam al-Sadi as soon as possible. The Secretary General of the Islamic Jihad, Ziad al-Nahwa, will hold a press conference tonight at 11 p.m., which is basically now. 11:30 ceasefire document drawn up by the Egyptians. It's like a piece of paper with a bunch of Arabic written on it, and that's it. It's like a paragraph. It's like I wrote something on a napkin.
Yeah.
Worth of toilet paper. Wipe your you-know-what with it. So, yeah, see that.
You're asking why?
What? It's interesting that it's, why Mitzrayim? I mean,
okay, so let's start with what the most mundane explanation is.
Yeah.
Because Gaza
they're right next to them.
Is right next to Egypt, and they have Gazans infiltrating into Egypt all the time, which they apparently don't want.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah, they hate them. They shoot them. They shoot them at the fence. They shoot them like the dogs that they are.
So they want to. So it would seem sometimes, or we would be led to believe that it's in their interest to make things peaceful there, so people will just stay put.
Yeah.
And not give them a headache.
Yeah.
Okay, infiltrating the quote unquote Egyptian border.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably what you're going to hear. But I would say, furthermore, that a lot of the Arabs in Gaza and in Israel in general are Egyptians.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them. Yeah.
I'm not saying all of them. I said a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're actually from Egypt. They're not, what people think, people hear the word Palestinian, they think, oh, there's this entity called the Palestinians, Arabs, that have this long history in the land of Israel. So there's a handful of those people who have been living in Israel for a couple of 100 years.
Can I play for you a very shrill audio of a Hamas interior minister?
In like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. So that people think that all the Arabs who live in Israel are these ancient Palestinians who have been living there for thousands of years. First of all, even the most ancient quote unquote Palestinians have been there for a few hundred years, which is something. It is something. I'm not marginalizing that. Okay. There's very few. The vast majority of the Arabs who are called Palestinians are not that at all. They're from Morocco, from Tunis, from Egypt, and from everywhere else.
Yeah. Continue. This is an interview with a man by the name of Fatih Hamad. He's a minister. He was in 2012 Minister of the Interior of Hamas, and it's an interview with Egyptian television. I'm going to translate as he's there's subtitles here, so I'm going to read out the subtitles as he's talking. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you know what? You want to hear his voice, or I can just read the subtitles as he's talking.
Okay.
You can hear his voice. This is Memory TV. They did this. Okay. Is Egypt incapable of supplying fuel for 1.5 to 2 million people in the Gaza Strip? If you do not point your compass towards Palestine, Al-Aqsa, and Jerusalem, in order to uproot the Zionist enemy, he's talking to Egypt now. The U.S. will trample you underfoot. It will besiege you with its conspiracies and will finish you off. Therefore, you must hoist the banner of jihad. This is 10 years ago. The banner of there is no God but Allah. Ein od milvado. Brothers, there are 1.8 million of us in Gaza, Who's us? Egyptians. In Egypt, there are about 90 million people. We equal merely 2% of the Egyptian population in Gaza. Supplying us with fuel would not burden you at all. He's asking Egypt, give us fuel, because Israel gives them fuel.
Yeah, he's saying we are your Egyptians.
Yeah, listen, keep listening. Al-Aqsa and the other land of Palestine, all the conspiracies throughout history have been shattered. The conspiracies of the Crusaders, the conspiracies of the Tatars, the same people who did stuff to us, by the way. Al-Aqsa and on the land of Palestine, the battle of Hattin was waged. The West does not want this noble history to repeat itself, because the Jews and their allies will be annihilated. Oh, no. The Zionists, the Americans, and the imperialists. Thus, the conspiracy is very clear. Al-Aqsa in the land of Palestine represent the spearhead for Islam and for Muslims. Therefore, when we seek help of our Arab brothers, we are not seeking their help in order to eat and to live, to drink or to dress, or to live a life of luxury. No. When we seek their help, it is in order to continue to wage jihad. Allah be praised, we all have Arab roots. Now listen to this. And every Palestinian in Gaza and throughout Palestine can prove his Arab roots, whether from Saudi Arabia, from Yemen, or anywhere. We have blood ties. So where is your affection and mercy? Personally, half my family is Egyptian. We are all like that. More than 30 families in the Gaza Strip are called Al-Masri, Egyptian. Brothers, half of the Palestinians are Egyptians and the other half are Saudis. Who are the Palestinians? We have many families called Al-Masri whose roots are Egyptian. Egyptian. They may be from Alexandria, from Cairo, from Dumleta, from the north, from Aswan, from Upper Egypt. We are Egyptians, we are Arabs, we are Muslims. We are part of you. Allahu Akbar, all praise to Allah. How can you keep silent, O Muslims, when the people of Gaza are dying? Dude, this is 10 years ago. You watch from the sidelines without providing them with the simplest thing, which you give to the West for the most meager price. I'll show like an exploding building. So now there's a guy who posted this, and it says, just listen to the psychotic scumbag of Hamas. He admits that there's no such people as Palestinians. His family names, and now he lists them all. Listen to this, man.
Yeah.
Nisba of Arabs who are now occupying Judea reveal their country of origin. Masri from Egypt. Khamis from Bahrain, Salem Khana Khamis, giving examples of people. Al-Ubaidi or Al-Ubaidi from Sudan, Al-Ubayyid. Al-Faruqi, Mosul, Iraq, specific places. Al-Araj, Morocco, a member of the Saudi dynasty, Hussein Al-Araj. Al-Lubnani, the Lebanese. Al-Mughrabi, these are all last names that you find in Israel. Al-Mughrabi, the Moroccan, Maghreb, meaning west in Arabic, usually referring to North Africa or specifically to Morocco. Dalal Mughrabi. Al-Jazair, the Algerian. Al-Qurashi, the Saudi clan of Quraysh, the battle with the Jews. Al-Azd, Yemen, the Azd tribe. Al-Yamani, Yemeni Isam al-Yamani. Al-Afghani, the Afghan. Al-Sidawi, Sidon, Lebanon. Al-Fayoumi, Fayoum, Egypt. Al-Hijazi, present-day Saudi Arabia. Ahlam Hijazi, a Palestinian artist from Hebron. Al-Hindi, the Indian, Amin al-Hindi. Al-Tamimi, or Tamimi, that girl, that little blonde girl, from tribe of clan of Banu Tamim, Azam Tamimi. Hamati, from Syria, Hama city, Hama. Umayya, from Saudi Arabia, Ban Umayya tribe, Umayyads. Umayyad Johad, Palestinian artist. Ottoman, Turkey. Murad, Yemen, Murad tribe. Alawi, from Syria, minority religious group in Syria. Iraqi, from Iraq. Halabi, Aleppo, Syria. Tajani, Saudi Arabia. Matar, from Yemen, Bani Matar village. Al-Baghdadi, Baghdad, Iraq. Tarabulsi, or Trabelsi, Tarabuls, Tripoli, Lebanon. Hurani, Huran, Syria. Zubaydi, Iraq, Zubayd tribe. Zakaria Zubaydi. Al-Husseini, Saudi Arabia. Saudi, Saudi Arabia. Metzrawa, Egypt. Bardawil, Salah Bardawil, Hamas legislator in Gaza, Egypt. In Gaza, and Egypt. Bardawil Lake area.
Can I stop you for a moment?
I'm almost done.
Anybody, just hold on. Anybody tuning in right now, he's been naming the names of these are Arabic last names, surnames.
Yeah, people who live in supposedly Palestine.
Right. Of families of Arabs that live in Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. On not Palestine, but Israel.
Yeah.
There's no Palestine anywhere in the Israeli territory.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they claim to be native, but their name, and however, they know, and every other Arab knows who lives in the area, that's complete bullshit.
Yep.
And we're reading these names, showing you where they really come from Egypt, from Jordan, from Iraq, from Tunis, from Morocco, anywhere but Israel.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. After I read this, I'm going to read to you an article that I wrote 10 years ago or 9 years ago about this whole thing. Nashashibi, Syria, very rich family, by the way. They were one of the families that was trying to, whatever. I'll read to you the thing. Boshnak, Bosnia. Zoabi from Iraq, Hanin Zoabi, our favorite little person. Yeah. Turkey, Daoud Turki, Al-Kurd, Kurdistan, Hadadins, Yemen, descended from Ghazanid Christian Arabs. Arab Abu Kishk, these are the only Bedouins, Egypt. Arab al-Shakirat, Bedouins. Arab al-Zabidat, Egypt, Bedouins. Arab al-Aramsha, Egypt, Bedouins. Abu Sitta. In Arabic, Abu means father and Sitta means six. Translated, it means father of six. The Abu Sitta family primarily received this name because around the year 1700, a well-known knight of the large Al-Tarabin tribe always had 6 slaves, i.e. Fedawiya, bodyguards, 3 on each side with him. They were with him wherever he went, day or night, hence the name Abu Sitta. Egypt, Bedouin, Salman Abu Sitta, Nuba, Hebron, founded by the Nuba people. Even Arafat, the most famous Fakistinian, that's a guy writes, and leader of the terrorist group PLO, was not native to Judea. He called himself a Palestinian refugee and claimed he was born in Jerusalem, but he spoke Arabic with an Egyptian dialect. He was born in 1929 in Cairo. He served in the Egyptian army, studied at the University of Cairo, and lived in Cairo until 1956. Arafat's full name was Muhammad Abdul Rahman Abdul Rauf Arafat Al-Qudwa Al-Husseini. In the name is the name Al-Qudwa, his tribe origin. Professor Azmi Bishara, a Palestinian Arab. There is no Palestinian nation. When were there any Palestinians? Until the end of 19th century. Palestine was the south of Greater Syria, another recent invention. There is only one Arab nation. The word Palestine is a colonial invention used by the ancient Romans in order to erase the Jewish identity of Judea and Israel. Even the Palestinian National Charter recognizes all the Jews living in the region prior to 1948 as Palestinians. It's an intellectual fad divorced from the concerns of an educated people. Zuhair Mohsen, top PLO member Zuhair Mohsen, who was responsible for the Damour massacre. The Palestinian people does not exist. The creation of the Palestinian state is only a means, this is his quote, for continuing our struggle against the state of Israel for our Arab unity. Unity! In reality today, there is no difference between Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrians, and Lebanese. Only for political and tactical reasons do we speak today about the existence of a Palestinian people.
Just one more time, please, for the folks at home and for myself, who made all of these statements?
These are Palestinian people, Palestinian politicians, Arab politicians, whatever.
Okay, but especially the last one. Is there a name?
Yeah, I'll tell you the name. Sorry, I just went to the next thing. His name is, the last 2 guys, their names were Azmi Bishara, is a famous name, and Zuhair Mohsen. top PLO member.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I'm going to read to you an article that I wrote. Like, when did I write this article? In 2000, I believe, 13, called, or 2012. I actually published it in Slimes of Israel back when they were like more or less whatever. Originally, I published it on my blog. Yeah, it's called, July 12th, 2013, 9 years ago. It's called Tribal Fusion, the Palestine Pipe Tree. 9 years ago. Many in the international community perceive the existence of a Palestinian nation and thus a state as a foregone conclusion, and moreover, view them as a monolith. This all began when Yasser Arafat essentially invented a nation of people from a patchwork of various tribes who inhabited the Levant, including various places in what are now Israel proper and Judea and Samaria. The painted rosy picture of the unification of the Palestinians of Gaza and the West Bank is the most recent sub-myth of this phony narrative. There exists a stark reality that the clan aspect of Palestinian society has become more important since the Second Intifada in 2000, with the social hierarchy of these clans in particular playing a huge role in the Palestinian power structure. What the world conveniently ignores, or is ignorant of, is that aside from 3.7 million multi-tribal Palestinians currently living in the territories who will be directly affected by the impending declaration, this is when they were declaring a state, there are 2.7 million Palestinians in Jordan, 600,000 in Syria, 400,000 in Lebanon, and 280,000 in Egypt, all of whom belong to various clans, many of whom engage in honor killing against each other to this day. For example, the Shawa clan was relied on by Egypt to help administer Gaza. They continue to be a prominent force, with the scion Azam Shawa, who was once the director of foreign relations for the Bank of Palestine in Gaza. Although his family hails from Gaza, he is in fact a member of the Fatah, which is the ruling party in the West Bank, PLO, and was the former Minister of Energy in the Palestinian Authority. He also received higher education in the US. The Al-Rais clan, also based in Gaza, produced the Justice Minister of the Palestinian Authority in Nihad al-Rais. The Shawa and Al-Rais clans are just two of the many entities which serve to demonstrate the influential presence of Fatah, or PLO, in what is now Hamas-controlled Gaza. On the opposite side of the coin in Jerusalem, there is the al-Husseini family, which produced the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Muhammad Amin al-Husseini. He espoused Nazi ideology and was one of the founders of Muslim Brotherhood, which eventually led to the creation of Hamas in Gaza. On a side note, while Hamas ruled Gaza, their official headquarters were in Damascus until recently. His distant cousin, Rafiq al-Husseini, is a member of Fatah and was chief of staff to the PA president, Mahmoud Abbas. Then there is the Nasashibi clan, as we mentioned, from Syria, who were one of the most powerful families in what was Palestine under the British Mandate, and bitter rivals to the Husseini clan. In the early days of the Zionist movement, they emerged as the more moderate force pushing for a compromise with the Jews. They were instrumental in King Abdullah unification of the Arab parts of Palestine and Transjordan following the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. That's how you got 80% of Transjordan as Palestinian, or Jordan. The ramifications of this are felt to this day, with Jordan housing nearly 3 million supposed quote-unquote Palestinians, 170,000 of whom do not hold Jordanian citizenship and are basically refugees, compared with Israel, who has given full rights and citizenship to all Arabs living within its borders. The same cannot be said for Jews currently living in towns, those legal and with legal ambiguity in Judea and Samaria, whose fate will be unknown upon the declaration of a Palestinian state. A glaring piece of history which is not mentioned in the narrative is the fact that it was these and many other wealthy clans that sold land to Jews and inflated prices even before the British took control. Most of the land was owned by absentee landlords who lived in Cairo, Damascus, and Beirut. Those who sold their land also included the mayors of Gaza City, Jerusalem, and Jaffa, what is now part of Tel Aviv. Moreover, both Jordan and Egypt eventually came to rely on these clans to convince Arabs to flee to all four corners of the Middle East, promising they could return once the Jews were defeated. This promise has obviously not been fulfilled to this day. The irony was that it was these landlords who were terrorized by rebels from rival factions who sold their lands to the Jews and left Palestine. As it stands, There are hundreds of clans of different social, political, and economic stripes within the Palestinian sphere. They reside in Gaza, Jerusalem, Hebron, Nablus, Ramallah, Bethlehem, Jericho, Tulkarm, Halhul, Kalkilia, Anapta, Jenin, and Salfit. There are certain towns and clans in the West Bank, quote unquote, which are significantly more prosperous than others. The West Bank as a whole is more prosperous than Gaza. This dynamic can potentially serve as a recipe for class envy. Moreover, the tribes in Gaza are organized into 6 different tribal configurations. Some are friendly with Hamas, some with Fatah, and others pledge allegiance to no one but themselves. Some of these clans have members who currently reside in refugee camps in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt, all of whom are experiencing upheaval on some level. The Palestinian Authority and possibly Hamas are thus attempting to physically bring to fruition an idea which was conjured up by Yasser Arafat after the 1967 war and was done so for purely for PR purposes. Even if the goal of quote unquote right of return is achieved, it is unclear what group of people will hold alliance to which faction of a newly formed government, if at all, and how these people will get along with each other. Middle East scholar Mordechai Kedar, Bar-Ilan University, has a much better idea. His plan calls for the establishment of 8 independent sovereign states in the West Bank, which he refers to as a Palestinian Emirates fashioned after the UAE. And that's how I posted the video. Somebody took it down. That's it. So, what do you think?
Absolutely crazy. Look at the